From the moment the HOA sent that sharply worded letter declaring my rescue dogs a community hazard and ordering me to remove them within 30 days or face escalating fines and legal action, I felt a fire ignite deep within me. Not just because they were threatening my family, but because every single one of those dogs was a living testament to survival and love. Dogs that nobody else wanted, discarded, and forgotten, yet who had found refuge in my home. And I knew this battle wasn't just about barking or property values. It was about a powerful, unspoken fear that some people have of what they don't understand or control. And as I read those words, cold and official, I vowed then and there that I wouldn't back down quietly, not when my dogs had already fought harder than most humans to live, and not when this fight meant standing up to an HOA board, led by Karen, our self-appointed queen of the neighborhood, who treated the community like her personal kingdom, obsessed with appearances and driven by grudges that ran deeper than anyone suspected. At first, it was subtle, the snide remarks at meetings, the whispered warnings that my dogs were scary or dangerous, complaints from neighbors who claimed my dogs disrupted their peace, but none of those complaints ever held up to scrutiny, especially when my dogs greeted every passerby with wagging tails and gentle eyes. Yet Karen's campaign escalated quickly, culminating in those harsh letters, the revocation of my access to community parks, where I used to take my dogs daily, even the sudden towing of my car from the community lot on a flimsy pretext, a clear message meant to intimidate and isolate me. But I refused to be driven out, because this was more than just a personal fight. It was a test of what kind of community we wanted to be. And I knew that many neighbors felt the same frustration, but were too afraid to speak up, fearing retaliation or being ostracized. So I began quietly gathering evidence, meticulously logging every interaction with the HOA, photographing my dogs in their calm, loving moments, gathering statements from neighbors who had grown to love and respect the pack, and even consulting with local animal welfare lawyers who assured me the HOA had no legal grounds for such discriminatory demands. Yet the board wielded their power like a weapon, calling emergency meetings where Karen tried to paint me as a reckless pet owner, a threat to the safety and values of the community, twisting rules to silence me. But it was in those dark moments that something unexpected happened. My neighbors, the very people who had been silent, began to rally quietly behind me, sharing their own stories of being bullied or ignored by the HOA over the years, from elderly couples fighting for basic maintenance to young families demanding safe playgrounds. And together, we formed an alliance, a grassroots coalition called Paws for Justice, which quickly grew into a powerful force, armed with petitions, social media campaigns, and community events where I introduced everyone to my rescue dogs. Stories like Max, the gentle lab mix who survived a chained prison of neglect and now comforted children with anxiety, or Bella, the terrier who was abandoned in a box on a freezing night, but now brought joy to an elderly widow who rarely left her house. These stories melted hearts and began to shift opinions, but Karen and her loyalists struck back hard, attempting to revoke my home's occupancy rights under obscure HOA covenants, cutting off water access to my yard as a form of harassment, and even going so far as to send anonymous complaints to animal control, hoping to break me down. But each attack only made me more determined, and just when it seemed that the fight might consume me, a stunning twist emerged. A whistleblower within the HOA board, quietly disgusted by Karen's cruelty and corruption, reached out to me with evidence that not only was the HOA abusing its power to target residents unfairly, but Karen herself had been siphoning community funds for personal use and had a long-standing vendetta against me dating back to a property dispute years before. Armed with this explosive information, I took the fight public, working with a trusted attorney to file official complaints, demanding transparency and accountability. and inviting local news outlets to cover our story, shining a bright spotlight on the injustice and hypocrisy festering beneath the HOA's pristine surface. The resulting media storm rattled the community to its core, sparking heated debates in neighborhood forums, with some residents defending Karen's vision of order, but many more standing up with us, refusing to be silenced any longer. And finally, at a critical board meeting packed with dozens of neighbors, I presented the evidence, shared heartfelt testimonials, and demanded Karen's immediate removal. And though she tried to deflect and gaslight the crowd, the tide had turned irrevocably. After hours of tense deliberation, Karen resigned in disgrace, and a new board was elected, one committed to fairness, transparency, and inclusion, pledging to protect the rights of all residents and their beloved pets. In the months that followed, our coalition worked tirelessly with the new leadership to improve community policies, establish dog-friendly zones, repair neglected parks, and create outreach programs for rescue animals, transforming a place once divided by fear and prejudice into a neighborhood proud of its diversity and compassion. And as I walk my dogs now through those same street tails wagging, neighbors greeting us warmly, I know this victory wasn't just about winning a fight with an HOA. It was about reclaiming our community's soul, proving that love and resilience can overcome fear and cruelty, and reminding us all that when the people in power tried to silence us, sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is stand up, speak out, and fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. Because that is how you save not only rescue dogs, but the very heart of a neighborhood and the hope that it represents.